Welcome back to another video. I want to thank everybody who made today extremely special. This was really my first big car show. I went to GM Power Plant show or whatever in St. Catharines last year, but it was kind of rained out. A lot of people didn't really bother to show up, so it was a pretty mediocre show at best. This one being the Camaro show was a lot of fun. There was a lot of 6th gens. What I was shocked at is a lot of people that watch me on YouTube were there, which was quite nice. It was nice to not have to explain everything about the car to everybody. You had a pretty good working knowledge. You know I crashed, you know it got rebuilt, you got to see the end result. I appreciated all the support and all the positive comments. I honestly thought I was going to get booed right out of the show because I've done such a wild rap on the car. But I got a lot of very positive feedbacks, which is really fantastic. It's just one of those things. I'm doing my thing, I'm doing it different than everybody else does, and sometimes it doesn't get quite perceived as intended. So I also want to thank my fiance Shelby, who very much so recommended that I plan for an event. Apparently showing up to your life isn't as successful as planning for it. So I ordered shirts, TopHatPlus, hashtag flame baiting, which is pretty good because that did get me banned off the forums for life, which quite frankly I couldn't care less about, but it was awesome nonetheless. I brought a tent, I brought drinks, I was very well equipped. I even bought a chair. So for all car shows here on forth, there will be no issues with comfort or convenience. The hips aren't in good shape, so I tried my best not to do walking as much as possible, but everybody came around and everybody seen the car. I was well positioned at the meet and everything went really well. My only real complaints or criticisms, oh my god, this tag on the shirt is getting cut off when I get home. The only complaints or criticisms with the entire show was some of the organizing was lackluster. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea about the events. I just had no idea. I couldn't find anything on their website. I seen their PDF about the event. There was nothing. When the show was starting and this and this and this and this. I had a whole group that showed up. There's probably 10 or 12 of us that wanted to park together with 5th and 6th gen cars that are all a part of the same crew. They were all rocking Top Hat stickers on the car. I mean, it's a pretty special thing for all of us that we're getting going here, and there was no ability to do so. The show I think kicked off at 10 a.m. from what I understand. It could be wrong. I was there at 9:30. I knew I wasn't early, but I got a phone call at just before 8 from somebody who had already arrived and told me the parking lot was basically full. Well, I'm not going to show up at 8 a.m., an hour and a half from my house, to just be devastatedly tired. I would have had to have left my house at 6 a.m. I mean, it would have been an awful experience. Food there was pretty mediocre. There was one spot selling food. Again, wow. For the amount of people, it was pretty lackluster. Wasn't really many vendors. It wasn't, and again, I didn't know what was going on. I had no idea. It's $35 per car per day to get in, plus you pay for some other stuff here and there. And then they wanted you to sign up for your registration or join their Ontario Camaro Club, which is another $25 per year. So it's very expensive. Plus, I believe $45 per person to go to the banquet on Saturday night, which Al Oppenheimer attended and guest spoke, which is cool, but as you can tell, it's a really expensive event. And all I really got out of it, I got to go hang out with some people. I got to see some people from the other side of Toronto. A lot of us drove quite a ways. I put 303 kilometers on the car as of right now getting back, which is good. And believe it or not, this car cost me less on gas to drive 300 kilometers than I paid to get into the show, 35 bucks. How awesome is that? So, give me one sec. Al Oppenheimer signed my engine cover, which is pretty sweet. I was going to leave it on the car, go home and clear it, just with some clear paint or whatever. And then somebody else there, Illmatics, just ripped it off his car, and I was like, you know what? This means something to me, which means I should probably do my best to preserve it, which means I'm just going to take it off my car. So I'm just driving around without one. Doesn't affect the car. I will get another one. and I'll maybe modify it or do something sweet with that. So I don't know, but it's still pretty sweet. I was quite pleased. I did have to kind of flag him down, but he was very gracious and he was very hospitable, and I appreciated him coming all the way back over to talk to me about the car and talk to all of us, because we were all kind of a crew there, and he signed all of our cars and everybody. I mean, most of the guys there didn't even know he was going to be walking around doing stuff, so they just had no idea, so that was quite the treat for them as well. And I also wanted to make sure that if Al was out and if Al was able, that he did come and say hello to us, because we are going to be something pretty big and much more substantial than we are now, but we're just in the early stages and we're just having a ton of fun. Thank you to everybody who stopped by, everybody who follows the channel, everybody who supports what I'm doing and the directions I'm heading and the creative styles and sometimes just absolute craziness. It's a lot of fun. I'm vlogging this right before the sun hits the peak golden hour. As I'm sure you can tell, my skin tone probably looks spectacular. That's not me naturally, that's actually just the sun is going down. So I'm getting into the flying the drone stages of my evening. I couldn't really fly it much at Camaro Nationals, so I drove all the way back home to fly it, which is okay. I do love flying the drone. It actually makes my work of flying said drone a lot easier. So that's what we're doing. So without further ado, here's a drum roll. 10, 9, let's kick off the B-roll. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,